Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Business Matters, the Broomfield Chamber of Commerce video podcast. I'm your host, Pat Monticelli. Want to remind you while you're watching this today to hit that like button. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel so we can keep bringing you great content like this. Also, want to say a big shout out to Ignite Video. They are our podcast producers, and we are thrilled to be back in the Ignite studios now. Great topic for today. We want to talk about transportation. And, as many of us know, transportation is a big issue throughout this entire Northwest metro region. Broomfield is no exception. And I've got Sam Taylor here with me. Sam is the CEO of the Chamber. Sam, thanks for being here.
Oh, my pleasure, Pat. And you're right about transportation. It's the elephant. We got a hole in Colorado. It's estimated we have a $9 billion shortfall just in transportation projects, and that doesn't even really count the train that was promised to us that we'd be on it by now, and now it's moved out to 2042 or 44 because of funding issues.
Right. And so to that end, to talk about transportation and specifically transportation funding, the Northwest Chamber Alliance held a transportation roundtable information session recently to talk about transportation funding and what that looks like for the area, in the immediate future and long term. Northwest Chamber Alliance is a group of local chambers of commerce, of which the Broomfield Chamber is a member. So Sam, kind of break down that session and what was talked about.
Yeah, happy to, Pat. So as you said, the Northwest Chamber Alliance, it's a group of pretty much all the chambers in Broomfield and Boulder counties, and Broomfield is one of the founding ones. We meet on consensus basis what is important to all of our communities. Since we represent thousands of businesses among us, what can we do to support all of those businesses? And transportation always comes to the top of the list. So what we've looked at the CDOT projects, we've looked at all the projects, and we said, this is big. We need to get a lot of people in the room and talk about where the different pieces are. So we had invites, and we got people from local mayors, county commissioners, the state senators that are responsible for this, the state representatives who are on the transportation committee. We even had Joe Nagoose, who was going to be there, but there was a snowstorm happening the next day, so he jumped on a plane, but he sent us a pre-recorded video, and somebody from his office was there. And it was extremely informative, and they did take questions because elected officials, they think they know exactly what's needed. But unless somebody comes and tells them what they need, sometimes they don't know. They just hear the loudest people. And businesses sometimes don't have time, to make calls to their elected officials. And it was a really good informative session, and they got their ears bent on a lot of pain points we have on things like Highway 7, US 36, I-25, even 287 has got some really big bottlenecks in between Broomfield and Longmont.
And really for the Broomfield area specifically, transportation is a big issue among our business community because, as we've talked about, people need to be able to get in and through Broomfield and back home if they're not from Broomfield for work and things on a regular basis. And as you said, sometimes there are those transportation issues that keep that from happening.
Yeah, Broomfield is unique in a way, and over 80% of the people that work in Broomfield don't live in Broomfield, and over 80% of the people that live here don't work here. So we do a lot of in and out, and we have very bad RTD coverage. At the Northwest Chamber Alliance Transportation Summit, we did have two of the commissioners there from RTD and a CDOT commissioner. So the organizations that are behind it, they got an earful of what our pain points are too.
So where does the conversation go from here? There's been a lot of talking, but from your viewpoint, what do we see as things that are that have the potential to get better?
Well, right now, the state legislature just dropped the long bill, which is the funding of most of the projects, and they're looking at a transportation bill, which they're hoping will be up to $4 billion. Of course, they got to find the money from somewhere. And they're looking at a hodgepodge, whether it's a gas fee, because the legislature can't pass a tax, that has to be done by the people, a fee on electric vehicles, a fee on road usage. if you're going to spend the money in Colorado, you've got to get the money because we can't do deficit spending in the state. And that plan is being massaged right now. It's guaranteed to make nobody happy because nobody wants to pay more, but everybody wants improved transportation.
Right. And so the next step, I guess, is for massaging this long bill and seeing what eventually comes out of it.
Well, what they'll do is that long bill will be all the things they have to fund.
Gotcha.
And the transportation bill would be on top of that.
Gotcha.
Because it'll have to be new money. But they will try and pull some of the stimulus money from the federal government that's allocated to it to various projects. And a good thing about this bill they're looking at is CDOT, Colorado Department of Transportation, will get some money. RTD might, but local communities, cities and counties will get some that they are able to match and to do their local projects.
At the end of the day, and I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit here.
Sure.
At the end of the day, what do you hope comes out of all this for the business community?
What I hope is we have a good transportation system. Somebody who's been involved in this a long time said you can do one of three things. You can build houses near where people work. You can build places of work near where people live. Or you can build them separate, and then you have to build a good transportation system in between. Well, that's where we are. We've been at the third one for decades, and that is the most expensive one. What I'm hoping is people look at it, and we do make those connections, like Highway 7, like improvements on 120th. But what I hope looks at is people say, okay, we have to build smarter. We have to be able to have people walk or bike or even carpool or take a bus to get to their work, so we don't have 90% of the cars out there a single person. It's very inefficient. It's very dangerous when you've got all those people driving, drinking their coffee, putting on makeup, listening to the morning talk show and getting mad, no matter what political flavor they're listening to.
Right. And the conversation obviously continues. And that's part of our job at the Chamber of Commerce is to make sure that we are in these conversations. Yes. And so, from the chamber perspective, we will keep people informed as this progresses.
Yes, and all the businesses out there, we need to know where your pain points are. Are you telecommuting now so you lessen the burden? Are you seeing problems getting your people into the facility you're at? Are they having problems going out at lunch, getting home from work? What are your transportation issues? Do you have logistics problems? Are you a manufacturer and you can't get product because the streets are clogged if there's 2 inches of snow?
Right. A lot of work to be done, absolutely.
It will never end, no matter what happens. There's always a new pothole or a problem with a bridge.
Yep. A pothole, whether it's physical or metaphorical.
Exactly.
Sam, thanks for the conversation today. This is great. Great news.
My pleasure, Pat. I'm glad to share this information.
All right. And again, we will, as the Chamber of Commerce, be keeping people updated on where transportation lies, what the next steps are, how you can get involved and voice your opinions and things like that. So we appreciate you being with us today on Business Matters. Please remember to like and subscribe, and we will see you again next time.